Hello, everybody, and welcome to Top Deck Thoughts. My name is Jordan Leroy Hansen, but I'm also known as LevDev or PGD Hansen on Twitter. Anyway, for this episode, we're actually going to be having a little bit of a PSA because we're actually going to be talking about a major leak that had occurred over this weekend. Now, I'm not going to show off any of the cards, mostly due to a policy theme that we're actually going to be talking about later. But more or less, what happened this weekend is essentially there was a early preview event for WPN Premium Stores to preview the Dominaria Remastered Draft Set. Pretty much it was just a remastered set of previous Dominaria sets to be able to play in a curated draft environment. But there was a printing error for Castle Games, essentially, for their draft packs, essentially. And what happened was, essentially, what would have been the slot for a quote-unquote kind of like retro border card was accidentally replaced with actually a rare sheet of the upcoming rares from the Phyrexia All Will Be One set that's coming out in February. So, pretty much due to this leak, about, I would say, 17% of the set got spoiled, as well as just the majority, if not all, the rares, as well as potentially spoiling a potential plot point that's been kind of like heavily marketed, which that's a bit of an oops, to say at the least. Nevertheless, I'm actually going to use this video to actually just talk about kind of like what you should do regarding to both from a content creator as well as a viewer, essentially, when you see a leak like this happen. Though, granted, I guess on the positive side, at the very least, it wasn't like the last time we went to New Phyrexia and, like, the whole set was leaked. Well, nevertheless, let's talk about how to interact with leaks in this upcoming episode of Top Deck Thoughts. So, what should you do from as a content creator as well as a viewer when you see a leak or see a really major leak? Honestly, it's one of the things that I kind of find toward a error, I guess, for a lot of people when they see leaks is mostly they actually go into one of the two extremes, essentially. One of them is essentially the try to pretend that it never happened, like, you know, try to see if make people accountable who post the leaks and such to say, make them take the post down, or just be like, essentially, oh, we gotta pretend that these never happened. While on the other side of the coin, I also see another half where it's like, well, they're already out and about, why don't we just talk about these cards openly on a public forum, yada 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 yada.
But you yada yada over the best part.
So I kind of like to see those two extremes, and honestly, the best way to approach a leak is mostly to be kind of like in the quote-unquote medium. Now, first of all, from a content creator perspective, it's really kind of hard to talk about leaks, mostly due to a variety of variables. One is most content creators who have a card that they are going to preview or quote-unquote know that the previews are coming have to really be silent if their card has been leaked, potentially. Like, they could probably hint at it, they could probably be, like, a little bit cautiously suggestive that it occurred, but they really can't talk about the card that they were going to spoil for leak, mostly due to potential non-disclosure agreements, a variety of variables. For those who don't know, a non-disclosure agreement is essentially a legal contract that many content creators, sponsorships, all that stuff will sometimes write when they are essentially advertising / marketing for a new set. Well, they say that they won't talk about a specific thing until a specific embargo date, mostly just to essentially keep it under the wraps until it's supposed to be officially revealed to the public. This is for a variety of legal reasons. We're not really going to go into details of that. But there is also just the other aspect that most content creators will get a preview card early before anything happens, mostly just because it gives them time to actually be able to prepare for the preview, whether or not it's like a website if they need to write an article, or like maybe a video content creator if they're going to like make a pretty much published video about the card or such. There could be a variety of variables. Yeah, there are some people like streamers who will just essentially be like, okay, let's preview this card, bada beep, bada boop, doo-doo. But even then, they are still given early notice to make sure that they can prepare the streamer setup, as well as just a variety of variables that would probably be needed if they are going to preview a card. So, yeah. From a content creator perspective, let's just put it bluntly, leaks are very annoying because it does more or less interrupt the process. Now, for many consumers, when regarding the leaks, honestly, I'll be honest with y'all, my general policy for consumers regarding to leaks and such, it's just pretty much can be said with one kind of simple phrase. And that is just be considerate / read the room. In other words, how do I phrase this? Pretty much be cautious about when talking about something that you might not consider the audience wants to talk about. It's kind of like the example how, like, with Star Wars or any, like, of the high movie franchises, if a leak got script or something like that, or there's, like, an early showing, where essentially comic book stores or a variety of community outlets will be like, please don't talk about the spoilers, because many people want to not be spoiled and actually go watch the movie. And I think that's kind of the same approach here. There's going to be some people who don't really want to see about the cards or want to go into a set kind of blindly, or maybe don't want to get spoiled by the story, essentially, and they kind of want to not see anything from the set. So if you know you're around those type of individuals or in a public forum that will consist of those individuals, then just be very, very cautious of not talking about it to be considerate for those people. Now, if you know you're in a group of like-minded individuals who actually don't mind talking about leaks, or you want to go about researching the leaks and such, I'm going to be one of the first people and say, don't pretend they don't exist. You should be able to look at them if you want to. Mostly this is because this can help a lot of people consumer advocacy-wise, for example, when making purchases, as well as potential cards they might want to brew around from an upcoming set. Like, we all seen that when a card gets officially spoiled and it accidentally causes a spike of a card that they would probably want to get, but then it probably gets out of their price range. Or there's even sometimes where there's a card that's going to get reprinted in a set, and I have seen it so many times where essentially somebody buys a card for their deck, and then they see a reprint that just came around the corner, and a card that they spent like around $30 on just now became like a $15 card, and they could have actually saved some money on it. So, in that perspective, I can understand how some people will still don't mind story spoilers, don't mind that, and just want to just look at the leaks to essentially potentially help influence their potential deck designs and purchases. As long as you're not spoiling it for someone who doesn't want to see it, I think it's perfectly fine. But still, just know that there's a lot of complications that go into when leaks occur, which, I'll just be blunt, leaks suck. Leaks absolutely suck for a lot of content creators. And while it is there's a realm of it that I know it's kind of cool from a consumer to see something before it's like officially revealed for the public. I get that allure, but still realize that just be considerate of your fellow patrons and such, and just don't be like, here's this card on a Twitter public forum and such, without like censoring it, or just like essentially just like maybe even linking to your own webpage if you're willing to talk about it, or your own Discord subgroup, etc., etc., etc. Because one thing is, if you're a content creator and you do this, I know a lot of content creators like, well, why can't I talk about this card that I see got leaked? Mostly this is because if you're trying to build up your follower account, you really don't want to do that. Mostly because, like I stated before, there are some people who want to try to avoid talking about that, or want to avoid leaks in general. And when you actually start talking about that, they will either mute you or probably unfollow you because they don't really want to hear about it. So, one thing regarding to when you start becoming a content creator is you have to be a lot more considerate for your audience through a variety of variables. Whether it's the variable of essentially being considerate of the factor that they might not want to see something or not be spoiled on its potential story theme from an upcoming set, or be considered for a lot of people that are trying to be market savvy or market considerate and be like, essentially, if they want to pick up something to essentially save a few bucks on building a deck that they might find cool if they see something that they want to brew around with the leaks. So, that's kind of my final saying on the matter. Pretty much, basic summary, leaks suck, be considerate, but don't be, like, condemning if people want to find out about the leaks or talk about the leaks. But if you want to find them or talk about them, just be considerate. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this quick Top Deck Thoughts, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. As they say, hip hip hooray.